Hey everybody, it's Eric from Thomas Hills Ranch, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about a project I have going on our boundary fencing, or our perimeter fence. When we first bought this property, the gentleman before us had been running some cattle on the property, and the perimeter fences were there, but they were definitely overgrown with a lot of the weeds, and I'll show you some of that. But they were in areas they were also pretty neglected. Along the front of the property, there were basically the neighbors' cattle didn't respect the fence, and they'd hop it, they'd plow through it, and they'd plow over it. And I have sections that are completely flat along the ground, and they did not maintain the fences. I didn't have any animals on the property, so I'm pretty sure it's their responsibility to maintain fences, because Oklahoma law at least says you're responsible for keeping your animals in, and I believe that's it's the same everywhere around the country. So if their cattle or whatever they're running runs out into the street and gets in front of a car and kills somebody, they are liable for that. So something to think about if you're looking to start this business up. If you do get a property, whether you're leasing or whether you're buying, what I've noticed around here is most of the people who have fencing that is kept up and that is clean, they're probably not the ones that are looking to lease their property or sell their property. It's the ones who are falling behind or have stopped running livestock several years back, and so they've just kind of let it go. And again, you'll see some examples here. Actually, here's one run right in front of me. This is our, well, part of our fencing. This is what we kind of walked into on the property. And you can see just really the trees define it. Because what happens is you'll put a fence up, and the birds will sit on it, and they'll poop out seeds, and they'll poop out tree seeds. And so what you'll find a lot of the times is you'll get a straight line of trees along a fence, and that's why. So some of this barbed wire here I have cut, but it's actually barbed wire that I've replaced before. You can see here there's a old tree stump that they just wrapped some wire around to keep the fence up. There's not a metal post here for quite some time. They did plant a post there, but most of these are just either tied to trees or actually have the tree grown through. I think one is up here. There's some. It's pretty amazing seeing how the trees have just totally grown around the fences. You can see there the barbed wire is actually grown into the tree. I think they nailed it to the tree, and now give that a couple more years and you won't even see the barbed wire. And that's actually, there's a good example over here. Some of these trees are actually, all of them are weed trees, and they're just really fast growing, and you can see they just grow around your fence. Here's a field fence here, which is the woven wire, which hopefully you can see that. It's just growing right through it and all along. So anyway, I wanted to get a survey done of my property, because when I first got here, I started walking the property line, and so I'm walking through this area. Sorry if it's shaky, but there's a lot of junk on the ground. I'll try to keep it steady. But anyway, I walk up here and I see this fence going east-west, and this is not the back of my property. So my assumption is that beyond this fence is straight back here is my property. But what happens is it comes along here and it resets. So the property line resets. It goes this way and that. Now I've taken what was there out. Sorry, I'm gonna have to walk around here, put myself in a corner. So what I did was I got a survey done, and I asked them to not only mark the corners, but since we have a pretty long property, I wanted them to mark all along the property line on this side. The other side I was pretty confident, just because of where it is, pretty confident that the property line was correct. So what they did, we're kind of right in the center of my property here. They came along and they put these posts and they say property line and they're flagged. And they did that, I don't know, there's probably 5 or 6 of these along this, I'd say 2,500 linear foot side of my property. So what I did is I came along and basically I'm putting in a new fence. This is the front of my property. I haven't gotten to this portion yet. Actually, I have a different neighbor that owns next to me. And actually, there's not as much land here. I'm not too concerned. I would like to encompass a little of this stream so I don't have to haul water out to the goats. And I want my goats, so to the left here, the left as we're looking at it, there's a big field there, and I want to run my goats through there, but during the summer I want them to have access to this shade. And so that's why I'm taking it. My son actually asked me that. He says, well, what's the big deal? Well, I do have plans for it. I am running animals here now. Plus, you know, you want to make sure you have the property that you paid for. Trying not to get snagged by my barbed wire here. All right. So we took the old fence down here as we were running through here, and we'll get up to an area here where, again, so, well, excuse me, I just had a little squirrel. Anyway, we'll get to an area here where I'll show you the new fence that I ran. And what I decided was, this old fence was so overgrown that there was no way that I was gonna get through this and be able to clean it up enough to run an electric wire along it. And so that's my goal, because again, I found it easier. The more solid electric wire I have on a barbed wire, the easier it is to run my goats. So instead of moving my 2-wire in a U shape, which I can do with a barbed wire fence, I'll just make a U and keep moving them along the fence. I would have to make some weird circles, and that's just a pain when you're moving the goats. And so I want to make it as easy as possible, as manageable as possible. But as you can see here, this is what the fence was running through. And so I would have had to come through here. Several ways you can do it. You can rent I think they call it a tree grinder or a tree mulcher. And I could have just come through here and just shredded this all to heck after I removed all the fencing. And I did remove most of it, but like this area here, there's still fencing there. And it's going to stay there until my goats can clear it out enough to where I can get in there without getting all these thorns. And I mean, this is the winter, so it's not too bad. You don't have all the insects, but you certainly have all the thorns. And they will poke through almost any clothing you have, or grab it, just like barbed wire. So anyway, the areas that were clear, I did clear out. We have a little pond over here. And so the old fence was right there, I think on this side of the tree. And so not only did I gain a nice shade tree, I'll walk you over to the new fence here. Ow, as I walk through thorns. This is going to be not fun. All right. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but spring is coming, so the grass is starting to turn green out here. And my goats are not going to be here for a while, but eventually they will be here. So here's our new fence. And I ran it, if you can see the orange hunter's tape there, is what I call it. It's on the right hand side of the fence. I made sure the fence was on my side of the property. The landowner here, there's still some confusion to who owns it. According to the assessor's office, it's one thing. According to my neighbors, it's another. Supposedly they're going through a sale right now. So I told everybody I could and said, hey, here's what I'm doing. I didn't want to, you know, good fences make good neighbors, but I also don't want to upset somebody with my fence. And so I made sure it was several feet on my side. And like I say, the area up towards the front of my property, I do have a different neighbor there. They just bought it, so I do know there are a lot of property sales going on here. And he's a real nice guy, so what I did is I set the posts first, and I'm going to go over to him and offer to walk the line with him just to make sure he doesn't object. You know, honestly, if he wants it another foot on my side, I don't mind. I'll move the posts just to keep good relations with neighbors. So again, I gained, if you can see, there's the big shade tree. I gained a big shade tree right next to my pond, and then all this area that I can rotate my goats. Again, in answer to my son's question, why to go through all the trouble? The last thing, well, I guess another thing that I wanted to do, like I mentioned before, is run an electric wire along my fence. And so I'll do it probably between the second and third wires. I will get a 5-inch, I don't know if they cut, it's not a stay, a 5-inch holder. Basically it's a plastic holder that you can attach to a T-post, and it sets that electric wire 5 inches on my side of the fence. That will discourage any animals from going through. My goats know what a electric wire is, and so do my dogs now. And so do I. I've been shocked by it several times too. It hurts quite a bit. But once I do get that offset wire, again, what I'll do is I'll just make a U shape coming out like this, going over and then coming back. And then when I move the goats, all I have to do is open the gate there, walk them through, and then have another U there. We're doing that over in this area now. So this is the west side of our property. I'm doing that now and just walking them along the property line. I'm trying to get them to the front of my property. Really my plan is I want to get them to graze the pastures while it's still cool, because I don't have a lot of shade in my pastures. And then once it starts to heat up, I'll move them back over to this side and then rotate them up this area where, again, not only do they have water with the pond that I'll be able to rotate them around, they'll have some great shade in here, and some great forage too. I've already noticed that the deer love to walk around over here. So anyway, just a little discussion on the perimeter fencing. It was real, I won't say easy to lay. I don't know if, I don't want to walk through that because that's this was one of my problem areas. Well, I guess you can see on the right and on the left there, those you know, there was probably on the left there 12 feet, 14 feet of just thorns, and that went all the way over to here. The browning stuff there is some of the stuff I cut away. So I had to come in here with a brush cutter. Not much chainsaw work, but definitely with the brush cutter, that saved my tail. That's the other way to do it, rather than renting the big tree mulcher. I could have rented a tree mulcher and it would have walked a path right through here. I think it was like $300 a day plus $150 to get it transported for me because it's on a big Bobcat. Yeah, would have made quick work of it, but I don't know. I'm always trying to save money, so sometimes I'd rather work than save money. Or save money than avoid work. That's what I meant. So you can see through up there, I had to come in with my chainsaw and cut back some of the brush there, some of the trees. I did or cut down quite a few trees just to make sure the fence line could be somewhat straight and make sure it was on my side of the property. But I also want to be able to, as you can see the path here, I want to be able to come through here with my brush cutter every year and just walk it and trim down what's going to encroach on the trees. Now that it's on my side of the property, I can justify hopping the fence and clearing out that on the other side too. And then if who knows who my neighbor is going to be in the future, if they don't like it or they make accusations, I can say, hey, it's still on my side of the property and I'm maintaining it. I can't imagine I'll run into that situation, but just to make sure I have that alibi there. So anyway, from the very wild side of our property, I want to thank you again for watching, and I hope you learned something. I hope you learned from my mistakes and I guess some of the good stuff that I do. Anyway, God bless you all and have a great day.